Every youth can be a success story if they're given the right opportunity and support. Therefore, I think it's important to journey with them through their ups and downs and to always believe in them. Melting Pot recently collaborated with Trybe, which is a social service agency in Singapore, who are advocates for youth facing adversities, presenting a very special Season 9, the Trybe series. The Trybe series is conversations with inspiring young social and youth workers from the agency, and episodes are available on all podcast streaming platforms and on YouTube. Do listen, share, and support in whatever way you can. It motivates us to bring you a lot more heartwarming stories from across the globe. Support for this series comes from GIG International School, Singapore, and the GIG Professional Development Center, part of the prestigious CIA group, who promote innovation and experiential study techniques for nurturing independent learners, be it students or be it teachers. Explore their offerings even as they continue to set standards in pedagogy, teacher training, and future skills development. Hi everyone. Today on Melting Pot, I will be talking to Andre Chong. Andre is a social worker and head rehabilitation and reintegration services, community and youth services for the Trybe, which is in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining me today, Andre.
Hi, Payal. Thanks for having me here today as well.
Great. So let's kick off the conversation by you telling my listeners and me about Trybe. What is the mission and the vision of Trybe?
Sure. So Trybe basically is an agency, a social service agency that works with youth at risk. And our vision and what we believe in is that every youth that we come across and every youth that we work with can be a success story. And success will also mean that beyond just what society would usually think of in terms of like academic success, doing well in school, being rich, these are things that we recognize could be different for the youth that we work with. So success for the youth that we work with could even mean small steps and progress that they are making in changing their lives towards getting a better future for themselves.
Okay. And what kind of a team structure do you have? I mean, you've got obviously, like yourself, and then I'm assuming you've got case workers, and you yourself are a social worker. So how does it work? What is the structure?
Yeah, so I would like to think we are quite a diverse team. So for myself in the community division, essentially we work with youths in the community. So the team that we have are mostly made up of caseworkers who have either social work training or psychology training, whereas my colleagues who are at the Singapore boys hostels, that will compose kind of different role for the team. So we have teams who deal with the operations, the running of the hostel, and we even have youth workers to engage and to manage the boys in the hostel.
Okay, so are you're a qualified social worker, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. And so is that like a graduate program?
Yes, to be a social worker in Singapore, you actually have to go through training and graduate with a bachelor degree in social work.
Okay. And so how did you get involved with Trybe? Were you, so after you graduate, you sound really young, so I'm assuming you graduated quite recently. So,
Thank you.
Right?
I would like to think I'm still young. I'm hitting 30 this year.
Okay.
So, yeah. Sorry, you're asking how did I get started into this, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually I started my work with Trybe since I completed my national service. So there's actually quite some time back, tracing back to 2013.
Okay.
So I started out initially.
Sorry, Andre. I just want to know, when was Trybe founded? How many years ago was that?
Oh, we actually started in 1995.
Oh.
So we actually evolved quite a bit. Initially, we were doing more school-based programs, and then subsequently, we started to chart out more towards working with youth at risk. So one of the key initial projects that we took on was the running of the Singapore Boys Hostel. And that's where we were actually really involved in working with youth offenders, the youth population that were at risk. And from there, we actually diverge and delve more deeply in working with youth.
Okay. So yeah, sorry I interrupted. So coming
No
back to
problem.
you, what inspired you to actually, one, take up social work and two, join Trybe?
So I joined after I heard it's basically one of a mentor in my life. I heard about the work that he was doing in Trybe, which was back then in the Singapore Boys Hostel, working with youth offenders. And I thought this was something interesting that I haven't really heard before about. And with that interest and curiosity, I joined Trybe, working in the Singapore Boys Hostel. Back then, doing more of the operational aspect of the involved in the running of the hostel, managing of the boys' behavior in a hostel. So not so much social work at that point of time.
Okay. And so then when did you actually move on to doing, social work as what it is that you're doing now? I can see that, you head the rehabilitation and reintegration services and community and youth services. So what exactly does that entail in terms of your responsibilities?
So eventually I recognized the need for further development for myself if I were to actually be effective in the work that I do in the sector. So with that, I actually went on to do a part-time degree at Singapore University of Social Sciences, and that's where I actually graduated with my degree in 2018. So currently in the role of heading the department and managing two services. Key role is actually to ensure the quality of the service that we provide to our clients, to oversee the work that is being done by the team, how the service is being administered to the clients, and reviewing the effectiveness of the service that we provide for our clients.
Okay, so how large is the hostel? How many clients do you have at the hostel at any given point in time?
While it can be quite exciting that the hostel can actually go up to 120, that is the maximum capacity. But thankfully, in our time managing the hostel, we have not hit that capacity yet. So usually we are looking at about a capacity of 60 or less.
60 or less. Okay. Just a little bit about, so what exactly is the role of the hostel? I mean, in terms of, so when you have the clients at the hostel, what exactly would your team members be doing there?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So the youths that are placed in the Singapore Boys Hostel are sentenced there through the court system. So they will have committed offences and the judge has decided to place them on probation. So when they are sent to us in the hostel, mainly we are looking at addressing the risky behaviours that they are involved with and to actually do rehabilitation work such that when they have completed so that they will be able to successfully complete their probation and even beyond probation to continue to remain free from offences. And that's where also the aftercare part comes in. And the aftercare service is also what I do in the community to ensure that the progress that our youths have in the hostel is sustained when they discharge from the hostel.
Okay, and what is do you have like an age bracket of, like the youngest to the oldest? Is there like a stipulated age or not?
Yes. So the age range of the clients that we are working with is usually from 13 to 21 years old.
Okay. So what are some of the common issues that you have seen that actually lead, for some of the youth to become vulnerable? What is a general pattern that, you have seen with the youth that come to the hostel?
So I think to answer that, I must first say that each youth is unique. Each youth comes to us with a different set of challenges and issues that they face in their lives. Some of the common issues that we observe in the youth that we work with, many of them come from challenging or difficult family backgrounds. So some of them could come from family backgrounds where unfortunately the structure in the family is no longer intact, in the form of there could be separation from from the parents, and especially for parents, single parent families, where just even maintaining the livelihood of the family and the children, sometimes it could also mean that the parents are not able to be as involved with the child's lives, and that could result in certain neglect for the child as well, which does lead them to be more vulnerable to some of these issues that they could face in future.
You're listening to a fusion of stories recounted for the first time ever by some fascinating people from across the globe with me, Payal, on this very unique and special podcast series,
Other
Melting
issues
Pot.
that we have also observed, youths who have difficulties in school fitting into the mainstream school education system, and because some of these youths already do have some of these challenges that they face in their families, they do encounter much more difficulties doing well in the mainstream school setting compared to other peers, and as they fall out from school, they are no longer engaged in school. That's where they are actually at higher risk of being involved in risky activities in the community.
Okay. I know each, like you yourself said, that each youth is unique. So you can't, different experiences, but typically on an average, how long would a youth be with Trybe, before the youth reintegrates into society?
Okay, so that also depends on the different services that Trybe has to offer to the youths. So, for instance, if we are looking at the Singapore Boys Hostel, that's a 12 months stay that they have with us in the institution. And when they discharge from the institution, the aftercare service that we provide is up to 18 months. We also do have other services in the community to provide intervention and support for youth for a period of 6 months as well.
Okay. So then again, it depends on which service, whether the youth is at the hostel or is being looked after through some other services.
Yes, that's right. That's also depending on the issues that they come to us with.
Okay, so obviously there have been so many youth who have benefited from Trybe. How hard is it realistically for the youth after they've been a part of your program to reintegrate into society? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you range it?
Wow.
Just a very,
Yeah.
very average. It doesn't have to, I don't want the exact number. Just it would be interesting to get a deeper understanding of that, because Trybe has kind of worked so hard in helping the youth. So it would be interesting to see what kind of an end result there is typically on an average.
Yeah. I would think I'll probably rate it as a 4 out of 10. So, and why I rate it as 4 is I believe that as a society we can do much more. And as a sector in the social service, I think that much more should also be done by the sector to also help the public develop a better understanding of the clients that we serve, so that they can return to a more accepting community.
Okay. Have you had any cases where the client has actually come back to Trybe and started working with Trybe?
So far, we don't have
You don't.
such an instance. I think we might have had interns before where they do their internship with us, but not as a full-time staff.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, even an intern is, I think, an amazing experience for the youth at such a young age and being vulnerable. So, Andre, what inspires you
to do the work that I'm doing?
Yeah. So like you go home at the end, you go home at the end of the day feeling like what? What kind of a feeling do you have? I mean,
Yeah. And I think that's a very important question, especially for those of us who are working in this sector. The truth be told, it can get frustrating. Sometimes the results and outcomes may not be what we expect. And there are times that we also have to cope with disappointment about how the clients are doing and progressing in their lives. And it's always a good reminder for us to come back to why we want to do this work. So I think for myself, well, it started out as a curiosity about the work in a hostel and getting to know more about the offending population. I think what has happened since then is as I get to hear more about the stories and the experiences that these youth have been through, the challenges that they encounter in their lives, it has revealed to me that actually they do really support and help, and it's sort of like an eye-opening experience for myself. And I think since then it has been kind of like no turning back for me. I do see it as if I am in that position where I could feel the need and be a pillar of support for our youth. I would want to play that role in their lives.
Okay, that's quite incredible. I mean, also instilling hope is such an important factor, because you yourself mentioned earlier that, some of the youth could come from broken homes, or it's very circumstantial, which kind of leads up to their behavior. And if Trybe is able to, and at such a young, vulnerable age, if Trybe is able to give them a sense of direction and bring them back, and give them hope, I think that is it's a very important role that is being played by Trybe and by each and every one of you who's involved with Trybe. So thank you so much, Andre. I think it's just been, really, and your voice is being heard through Melting Pot and Trybe also, that is sort of, because I have listeners in over 56 countries, and it's very inspiring to hear how Trybe sort of started and how each one of you, and I'm going to be talking to some more of your colleagues in the coming days, and how each one of you contributes. And I think it's so important to be able to do that. And like you mentioned yourself, that there could be days when, you go home frustrated, but I'm sure there would be many more days where you go home with a smile on your face because you feel like you're making a difference. So
yes, indeed.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Andre. I'm sure my listeners are going to be really inspired, and good luck. And, I know you've got a lot of steps ahead of you. So and I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. So thank you very much, Andre.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
For more weekly conversations, do listen to Melting Pot on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram at Podcast Melting Pot. So until the next episode, this is Payal signing off.